music always gets me hyped here as we're here for the FACEIT Global Summit, and we are going to be getting into 2 more rounds here for Elimination Stage. Sudden death, and we only have 8 of our teams moving on into the grand final to join the other ones that have already found themselves there from the group stage. I have Toffees, I have Avenger. Boys, it is time now for all the chips to be laid down on the table, because a lot of these teams really have to put in some work if they want to try and get in that top 8.
Crunch time. It also means chaos time, right? If you're one of those teams that's at the 7-8 bubble, it's one of those moments where you maybe want to play it a little bit safer at the start, because the guys on the bottom are going to be coming out guns blazing, and I would be incredibly worried. And the guys at the top, I think, have the ability to sort of pick and choose who's going to the next round with them if they really want to.
So that's a very interesting thing behind the whole denial. Like, you don't want them in your loot spot. You don't want to. It's not going to happen in Pochinki, but it could happen somewhere else. It could definitely be somewhere like, okay, we really want to loot the East Coast. Let's make sure that the teams that are looting close to us that are not going to make it. So
even beyond that, let's call a spade a spade. ENCE in PEL seemed like an unstoppable juggernaut. Sure, they had a really bad start here, but they've gotten warmed up. They've gotten some practice. We're resetting the points tomorrow. So if I'm a team that maybe has the opportunity to push ENCE down below 8th place and say, I don't want to worry about you becoming that juggernaut again, it might be worth it. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line. Why take risks?
The problem is with that they're looting in Stalba and Kemiskian. Who wants to go there to hunt for people? Right?
If I'm 17,
you better find them.
I'm looking for. So what I'm really looking for here now is also Scooms, a dark horse pick. The Brazilian Crusaders, they are on the cusp of making it in. We're talking less than 10 points to make it into the top 8, and they have gotten 2 third places with kills the last 2 games. If they continue this momentum, this is what's going to put them in the grand finals.
They have the potential to get there. It is no secret. And if they work hard, I think that they could really represent their region right here, right now. But it's go time.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I didn't even have to say anything during this one. I was loving it live. And that is how my job can sometimes be extremely easy. It's time to head over to our commentating team for all of the action once again. It's paper thin and it's Matchroom. Take it away, boys.
Colors might have an easy job, but we get the fun job. We get to be all excited through these matches here. I got to agree with the desk. I am keeping an eye on Brazilian Crusaders.
Yeah, you have to at this point. I mean, they've shown flashes that they are absolutely capable of being one of the teams that deserves to be in the grand finals over the next 2 games. I really liked what I saw of them. They just couldn't quite close it out there at the end. They had 3 members up towards the end. They got in that fight with AHQ, and they just couldn't quite close it out.
And OP Rangers, over from your region, they're sneaking up there. They're right on that cusp spot as well. We've got Windstrike and ENCE hanging out 7th and 8th, but a couple of teams that are sneaking up right back behind them.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun here. We are about ready to get into game number 5. Only 2 more games to go, Matchroom.
Here we are, planes up in the air, and everybody's making their way back over here. Question again, Pochinki, does Cloud9 stick it? We keep saying it's a matter of pride for them. I still feel like they're in a good position. They're going to make it into the top 8. I'm willing to bet. But do they want to make a flashier appearance in the top 8? Or they just really, really want to make sure that everybody knows Pochinki is their home?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, like you said earlier, a sense of pride for them where they really want to, show that they're capable of contesting this very valued location here on Erangel. And you can see they're going right for it, 17 as well. I don't think we're going to see too much different from what we saw last round. It looks like Crystal Luster heading over to Georgia Pole and AHQ as well going on that way. Entis Force doing a little bit of an interesting split here, but this is to get vehicles probably to go back up to Milta. You can see them there on the northern edge of Sosnovka Island.
So they're making a little bit of a rotation through here. Going to take away a couple of the vehicles that are on Military Base Island from the OP Rangers, but there's a ton of vehicles around where OP Rangers drop at, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. You can see what's going on in Pochinki as Cloud9 and 17 are making their landings. Pretty similar to what we've seen every single time. Now Cloud9 a little bit kind of connected. We've seen them kind of drop off and separate around and try to get around 17. And Datmosh, you look like you could be in some trouble, buddy. And yep, there we go. We're going to connect with Waikikamukow running over Datmosh to get this going. And there we go. Finish it out.
I love it. Waikikamukow with the buggy getting it. And we get to see our circle here. And we are going hard west over the quarry in Primorsk and southern Georgia Pole.
That is a lot of water inside of this circle. That means that is a lot of space that is nowhere to be had. A lot of these teams are just going to have to make their way around the Gatka fields. You talk about quarry as well. There is a lot of flat land and hay bales inside of the circle.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more difficult circles to navigate, especially if you're not one of the teams that drops over in that area. Windstrike got to be really pleased with this circle. No one's going Primorsk since usually the only team that we've seen seeing gone there is VSG, and they're not here. They've already qualified for the grand final, so no one over there either. You can see AHQ making their rotation out of Southern Georgia already.
We see Windstrike running a variation of the Trash Gatco loot right now. They're going to be collecting some stuff up. AHQ, they've had themselves some pretty good games so far, but not necessarily the big game yet. This could be a good chance for them as they can make their way over towards that western part of the coast, get control over to that. You can see Entis Force finally touching the ground here. We talked about they were on the hunt for a couple of vehicles, but should be able to just run their way over to Milta. But the problem with it is everybody's been looting for quite a while. They've been airborne stretching to find vehicles, and they have to go on the exact other side of the map to end up in the safe zone.
Yeah, and they threw me for a bit of a loop here. I thought they might just be trying to get vehicles to go back up to Milta, but I think because of the way the circle landed, Kale and Songjong, the other two members of Entis Force, actually went over to Novo.
When we were looking at that for a second, we saw that Nerf went for a little bit of a reposition. You can see that there's all the orange right in the middle of this, but to give us an idea on what's going on, we're going to go ahead and throw it over to D-Man and Scoom.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We're just noticing, obviously, with the circle being as it is, and OMG needing a boatload of points, there is a strong possibility here, Scoom, that they could try and set some sort of setup up.
Yeah, I mean, specifically the way the playing was, I believe they should have seen that no one was going Primorsk on the west side, so every team is going to be coming from the east, so they could be creating choke points at the bridge and just the northern road that they are. I mean, they need big kills. They need a big game, so this might be the one that can maybe cause some action, as we see right now, Lion KK trying to get some shots onto MP5 Leo.
Yeah, they're already trying to, looks like, rotate, so guys, back to you.
Thank you so much. Always bringing us those nice insights on what's going down inside the map. OMG in a nice position right now, taking those pot shots at MP5, who's still carrying on their way. Naturally, to the north of them is going to be what's going on in Pachinki, so they're kind of caught up in their own drama right now.
Yeah, it looks like Windstrike, they're setting up, moving out of the Gatka area, trying to find some compounds in the middle of the circle, trying to gatekeep AW7 a little bit. One member of AW7, Shura, making a very aggressive split from the rest of his team, trying to find some real estate for them to occupy. The other members of Windstrike coming in. Here you can see OMG trying to get some kills onto MP5, but no shots landing here. They're just going to ride up and get on out.
So much of this circle is what you are looking at right now. I mean, we have the Chopsticks area, then to the east and the south of it, kind of where we are right now. Then we have over towards the west of Gatka. It's just a lot of flat lands for people to have to play around. So a lot of teams opting to rotate very early and get those control points. Where we're seeing MP5 play at is a great spot to try to catch teams in rotation points as they're trying to make their way across these flat lands inside the vehicles. Real easy shots to be had there.
Right, there's just nothing but fields around that mountain. So I like what MP5 is doing here. They're another team that needs to put up some big numbers to try to jump into that top 8 position that is so coveted right now, as we are really getting down to the wire. Only 2 more games left here today, and I am so excited.
Look up towards the north. We have Crystal Luster that's kind of hanging out right around the edge of the circle. So with this, AW1 might be making a reposition off of this. They've kind of got gate capped out at this position. They're either going to have to make the choice to go back around the other side of George, or they're just going to have to just cut right through this, and you can see the trap is set and waiting. 2 members of Crystal Luster just waiting to see if anybody's going to make a path.
Yeah, we'll see what AW1 decides to do here. They do have Icky, who has made his way safely over to the mountain south of George there. So we'll see if he relays the correct information here to the rest of AW1 and if they make the proper rotation to avoid this trap that Crystal Luster has set up.
What could be kind of funny is since we do have Icky that's making his pass all the way around to the south of this, he's kind of ended up in South Georgia Pool area. He might actually set up the same trap and catch Crystal Luster on reposition. But here we go. We've got the Rangers now making their way up towards the north. You heard everybody talking about a second ago. OMG kind of got that position right to the north of this, but there's also BBs that's cutting along a similar path. We're going to have to see how this kind of goes and if anybody manages to get caught in this rotation.
Yeah, it's always dangerous coming across that bridge. OP Gaming Rangers generally have had free reign to get off of Sosnovka Island. They haven't been bothered too much doing that. Now, in the PKL in the past, I've seen them get caught. Oh my goodness.
Look at the north.
Oh no.
That is Envy running right up next to Ince. It looks like they've got sight lines onto each other. Envy was thinking about going for a stop for a second, instead going to use that hill, make a run down the side of it, trying to use it for cover. You can see AW1 kind of caught up inside of this. Pat Cap's catching some air, gonna look back over towards Hexagon, trying to get to some sort of safety there. He's actually gonna post up. Is he gonna take any shots back over towards Hexagon? Looks like he's trying to get the aim onto it, but Squeaky's actually taking shots at them as well. AW1 is caught between 2 very violent teams and just trying to survive, but there is nowhere for Hexagon to go. He is near on no life. Can he make it over next to Icky? Moody is just trying to connect with it, and there we go. Vehicle explosion takes him down.
That is 2 members of AW1 taken out here. Hexagon and Katao both going down, trying to make this rotation, but it is too late. Icky was able to give them the correct information, but by that time, Envy and Ents were already going as well.
Icky's just trying to get out of there. There's still a couple of members from AW1 up towards the north, but do remember, Envy got that inside pass above Ints, so now Ints knows that they cannot take this pass anymore. Now they're going to go back over to where we saw Crystal Luster at a second ago, but Crystal Luster has already moved.
Yeah, Ents here making the long rotation. Crystal Luster going way along the western coast, trying to find some kind of location that they're interested in taking. Here you can see Rustamar driving across the bridge.
Envy knows. Envy knows that they heard Ints taking the shots. Are they going to go for a reposition on this? Cloud9 has already left the safety of Pachinki and is going to line up right on the Brazilian Crusaders, and that is 2 just torn down off of that motorcycle.
Man, C9 with a great pick here onto the Crusaders. Crusaders with 2 members left, forced to relocate. They cannot safely cross that path. Interesting to see C9 do a little bit something different. We haven't seen them leave Pachinki this early, especially when it's still in the circle.
Rustamar managed to make it through the first couple of Envy players, but you can see the other 3 now having to turn back around. Rustamar is trying to figure out where he wants to go. This is just a cat and mouse game back between Envy and Ints right now. Ints on a full-on retreat to play back over there. AW1 still in that same spot. Poor RDK, man. Every single time we have seen him today, he's just by himself, just like, what do I do now?
The hero for RDK in the last round, trying to find some way into this circle, but there's so much congestion there at the top. Meanwhile, C9 still trying to find their shots onto the Crusaders. Profi here trying to relocate, trying to get the angle onto these last 2 members of the Crusaders. Here is Ents. They're forced to go out into the blue to make this safe rotation, and in fact, RDK is up ahead of them. They might run into each other.
RDK, poor RDK right now. He finally decides to leave the blue zone, is gonna bump into Ints over here. New circle pops, takes out a lot of the water, but we're still hanging around down towards the southwest there. RDK does actually see Ints. Have they spotted him out? Is he gonna go for a little tricksy shot? He knows that that's a lot of vehicles over there. This could be his death if he decides to go for the shot, but the temptation might be a bit much. He's lined up, just hanging out. No, that's one that he's gonna let go by. Is he gonna let Trifley go by as well?
I don't want to say anything. I don't want to give away his position.
He's like, just please, just keep on going. There you go. Everybody's been in this nerve-wracking situation before where you're kind of caught out in the blue and you just see a full squad go by. RDK decides to go after the last one. It's going to be Mikas that takes the brunt of the damage here, not connecting with a lot of it, making the switch over towards his other rival, but Mikas going to make it through that pretty clean, but here's the downside, is now everybody has just turned back around looking for him. Triply hitting some nice shots. OMG on rotation, headed next to Quarry.
Yep, this is a big game for OMG. We got to keep an eye on them. They're setting up right on the northern edge of the quarry. It looks like we'll see how that pans out for them. Envy here on a long rotation. Venerator gets taken down here. What happened?
Just runs right up into this, tries to run him over, and does manage to get the flush as he jumps out. So gets to do a little bit of damage to Envy, but we might have some North America on North America action as Envy's fighting for control over this position, and it's going to be Cloud9. They heard the shots. They're going to throw a grenade on where they expected somebody to be at, but does not connect and gives away that they are there. Envy going for a little bit of a reposition.
In the PKL, they call this the God position over in this part. You have so much cover, you have so much vision, you can control those fields pretty much 360 around you. So Envy here trying to claim this very prized real estate.
Cloud9 is actually running a 2-2 split, and you can see down to the south for just a second. They were taking a couple of shots onto Envy from a different angle. So Envy does have the 3-man that they're trying to make their way forward with it. Nerf's going for a peek back and forth, but K-Mine, look, he's being very, very sneaky, playing down this really towards the bottom of that hill, trying to creep back around onto it. But look, it's our friends from before. Ints looks like they want to participate inside of this. Moody went for the shot, but hits the wrong seat, and it's going to be Mika's taking a little bit of damage, but now Envy's starting to regroup, starting to realize, okay, this might be a little bit hot as Profi gets the connection onto Taro.
Yeah, C9 with a nice split here to cover the angles from the south, getting the knock onto a member of Envy. We'll see if C9 opts to push this. Some grenades coming in. That one didn't quite connect from Nerf. Looks like he wants to think about throwing another one. Here it comes. Will it manage to land on a member of Envy? Oh, it just bounces too far.
So now we've got Pat Caps that really wants to go back for the res, but has really stalled it out. if the other members of Cloud9 decide to step up into this, it could be very, very bad for Envy. They lost one on that really random motorcycle off the beginning of this, so they're already fighting a man down. Taro does get rezzed, but meanwhile, this whole fight's going on. Ince is just repositioning around this, as well as Force. These guys are really just caught up in fighting with each other now, but it's going to be MP5 taking a couple of shots at Cloud9 as they're going for their reposition.
Yeah, Cloud9 here with a 2-2 split, but now two other teams are rolling up onto these positions. They heard the shots. They want the kills. Miss You trying to find an angle into these buildings. Lobes here trying to come up the hill, trying to get the rip onto Miss You. Some damage done, but now he's cooking the grenade to see if he can finish it.
Gonna throw it back up and probably go just a touch too far. Miss You takes a little bit of damage onto it, but now everybody from NP5 very aware that there is a member right in front of them. We still have the continuation of Envy fighting over with Cloud9, but Force wants to get involved. Gonna go ahead and snag up that kill onto K-Mine.
Yep, Kale there with some nice shooting onto the members of C9. Quickly looking to rotate again as the circle has hard shifted south right over the quarry.
Oh my God, get ready. The north is going to be crazy as we have Envy, Force, Ince, Cloud9, MP5, 17, Crystal Luster all around that position. Windstrike already in a great spot to maybe catch a couple of people in rotation. A lot of people are already on the move, but you can see smoke's now coming out. Everybody's trying to get in, just trying to figure out what they're going to do at this point. I think that Envy lost a lot of their vehicles inside of these skirmishes, so just going to have to hot-foot it across this plane, and that is so dangerous.
Yeah, it's really dangerous. There's a lot of open terrain for them to cross, not to mention a couple teams waiting for them. Oh, SR, great shooting here to catch a member of Crystal Luster. That is a kill for them. Much, much needed points. They're another team that is absolutely just going to have some crazy rounds to get into those top 8 spots.
You can see BB making a quick rush over into this, but one of the members did get down by OMG. OMG felt that this might be a quarry game to start with, playing around the side of it, so nice positioning coming out from them, but Ince looking back down towards Crystal Luster. Nice shots coming out from them. That's going to be Long taking a lot of damage, but does manage to get down Trafili. Mikas is looking on this other angle for it, just trying to make sure that he keeps them down and suppressed. Long in a very difficult position right now. As you can see, one of the members of Ince is trying to sneak up back behind him, and yep, that's going to be Squeaky just walking up and getting the down.
Yeah, this is really difficult now for Crystal Luster. I believe they're down to one member left standing. Weishi did get knocked in the meantime. Mikas coming up here to try to support his teammates, looking to possibly get the rise onto Trafeli. Long D just bleeding out on the road. Okay, OP Rangers taking some shots at Indigo as he crosses. Nothing connecting there from Mental.
OP Rangers got a nice bit of control over this hillside. Gonna force, it's gonna be forced to go back the other direction. So now they make their way back up over towards that hill. Really, we still have BB and OMG that are kind of looking over everything that's happening at the time. So a lot of congestion that's happening up towards the north. Look at that. You can see Ince right still on top of Crystal Luster. MP5 going around the outside, but we got 17 looking back over towards Windstrike. Really, Envy still just slowly walking their way into this circle.
You know, that might actually benefit them in a way if these other teams do some damage as they make their way in. They have plenty of time to get in, even if they take just a little bit of circle damage. At this point, we're only on the phase 3 circle, so relatively survivable for them. And trying to get this push down because they see MP5 rotating to their right.
Then we have to be very careful. There is AHQ that's already in a position right up and in front of them. One member of Crystal Luster did survive the firefight there, just hiding out inside of the building. So everybody's slowly making their way into where they think is the best place for them to hide at. Force, look at this. They got forced out by Rangers a second ago down to the south. Now reposition all the way out and around them towards the north. Envy in a lot of trouble as they still have to make their way over towards the safe zone. And it's 17 of all teams. These guys have been on fire today. We have seen them hit some crazy shots. Envy got a lot of work to try to make that last couple of meters into the safety.
Yeah, there are a lot of smokes coming down here for Envy, being forced to use a lot of utility, losing a lot of their gear on the way in as well. They have been fighting for practically the whole match, so now they're trying to rotate away from 17, but 17, you can see them at the top of the circle. They are looking to hunt down Envy.
Ince going for a reposition on the side of this. A lot of these guys just trying to fight around it. We talked about a lot of fields. Keep in mind, we do have Quarry that's in play, but where we're seeing Windstrike reposition from, that's got that field back behind him. OMG is just right up next to them, as well as we've got Incognito getting caught up into a little bit of a fight. Grenade's gonna roll down right over there next to Lion KK. He takes a little bit of damage, does not go down. Cloud's trying to come up and rejoin this fight, but Shu just has a bead back over towards Moody and gonna take him down. Now just one member up for Envy, and that's gonna be Pat Caps, as we're gonna see a little bit of a res trying to come out from 17 Gaming. They know where one member is, but Cloud9 seems to hear this. Are they going to choose a third party? Is it going to take down Pat Caps? And there we go. Finally, 17 manages to pick it up, and they are just absolutely fragging out.
My goodness. 17 Gaming, it looks like they can just take any fight they want and win it today. They just feel unstoppable. Their shots are landing, their grenades are landing, their positions are quite good early on. They haven't found a way to really finish a game out yet, but that doesn't seem to matter. They can just kill as much as they want and get their points that way.
OMG's positioning is very, very difficult on how they're playing this. You can see they're just going for a breach flank off to the side of it, but there's nowhere really for them to go as Windstrike is just holding this down. So with the reposition coming out from Clouds, sure they can get a couple of shots back over to Windstrike, but that also reveals them to 2 other squads, so they have to be very cautious around the shaft.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what Windstrike did here. They just keep aggressively taking the center of the circle. They desperately need these points. They are right on the cusp of possibly being knocked out of this tournament. So this round is so important. They were given the circle, they take Gatka, and they can have a chance here to possibly pull out a victory. I love this rotation from them.
OMG knows that they're in a little bit of trouble. You can see the utility coming down. Brazilian Crusaders are at their back. We had a lot of bloodbath that was happening towards the north, but it's kind of started to shift back down towards the south as a lot of teams slowly making their way over next to Quarry, which is down at the very southern part of this circle. Got Ints making their way right over here next to AHQ. Has to be very cautious. I like the fact that they stopped the vehicle at the bottom of the hill. Assume somebody might be around that position. Incognito, MP5 still getting caught up into a little bit of a skirmish as well. Really, 17 just has control over their area, but you can see it's all around the middle and south now.
Yeah, the northern part of the circle, there's a lot of field in it, so not a lot of teams are really interested in trying to take that part. Sato here just avoiding these shots from RDK, the last member standing here from Arrow Wolves 1, looking to take a little bit more damage onto him with that M16, and he does get it, and that will be the Blue Bees eliminated in 14th.
Everybody else is playing squads right now, and RDK is just playing solo. No matter where we go, Incognito's walking back up over here, and it's going to be NP5 getting eliminated, so they get control over a very nice bit of the map. They have a lot of good sight lines from this position, but no one's really around them at the time. You can see OMG running that, I guess, 2-1 split, but I don't think it's intentional. Zhao Hai's just kind of tracked back over there, but Force sneaking into the circle. Gonna get over around Quarry right now.
Yeah, Force here, it looks like there's a crate dropping down over by Ents, right in the middle of them. We'll see if they're able to pick up that utility. Mental, in the meantime, trying to land some shots onto Arrow Wolf 7, and Shura completely caught out in the open here. Can he confirm the kill? So much damage done, and yes, it will be Mental finish. Oh no, I'm sorry, Teme finished that.
Just go ahead and take that 3 point sitting out in front of you as Rangers are now walking right up next to AW7. Godly's taking a lot of damage. Last member up, and now Arrow Wolf 7 is eliminated in 12th place.
Big points here for the OP Gaming Rangers. They really need to turn it on here in the last couple rounds if they want to leapfrog into one of those top 8 spots. They're rotating around the eastern edge of the circle now. You can see them on the right-hand side. A few shots coming out from Windstrike, but it doesn't look like much doing here. OMG set up in the middle, but guys, we're going to quickly jump to the reporters for a few quick words.
Quickly talk about Ents, BRC, and AHQ. This is basically 8th, 9th, and 10th position. These guys are all in a position to fight one another. AHQ just got a knock on Ents, but didn't back it up. They need to be pushing those fights if they want to qualify here. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much. So now we're getting an idea on what's happening on every single part of the map. Always enjoy the insights coming out from those guys. So Ints slowly creeping forward. The circle's just a little bit outside of where Rustamar is at. Meanwhile, AHQ also needs to move forward. Brazilian Crusaders have been playing that little bit of a dip. They do have control and sightlines, but doesn't necessarily have the best sightlines over towards Ints. It's going to be AHQ that still has to hold them back. Meanwhile, a lot of little small skirmishes happening along that hillside.
Yeah, it looks like Ents did pick up that 249 from that crate. We'll see how that pans out for them. C9 quietly doing some stuff this game. They got a few kills early on. Ooh, a grenade. Will it catch Winner? Oh, it's just too far.
Now you can see this is getting the bloodbath section. Brazilian Crusaders not choosing to third party just yet. Really, this is just AHQ and Ints going back and forth right on the side of the circle. Lots of kills coming up. Finally, AHQ stepping up, trying to get some damage, but it's going to be Incognito off to the other side. SR separated out from the rest of the team. Sure, he's inside the safe zone, but he's kind of caught in a fight with a whole other squad right now.
Right, you can see Lion K trying to defend his position here. He's got Intis Force pushing up to the top of the quarry, and they've got Zhao Hai on the bottom of the quarry there. They are very split, but OMG is able to cover them pretty well. The Crusaders looking to land some shots onto SR in that smoke, but so far not much connecting. SR is able to get a heal off there as well. We can see in the background, Mikaz did get a kill onto Winner.
Zhao Hai has been alive in that spot so long with Windstrike just taking shot after shot at them. We got Force up at the top of the hill, looking back down on where Incognito is moving, but you can see not the best angle. It's really hard to take those shots just straight back down onto somebody, so that's why you see Incognito just slammed up against that wall. Nobody from Windstrike really has the best sight lines onto them at the time, so really it's just about this reposition that's coming out from AHQ as they've now hopped onto a motorcycle. CC's got himself the UAZ, trying to get a little bit more separation out from Ints, and I believe that SR has managed to get enough control over this location with Incognito repositioning. Brazilian Crusaders just don't have the sight line, so both those guys, nice job on separating out.
Yeah, here we go. The next circle, hard shifts north. If you're a 17 gaming fan, you can hear it.
Yeah, the audience kind of liked that circle. 17 getting themselves a little bit of circle favor, but here we go. We've got Force slowly making their way up, but Waikakamukau gets a nice down onto Kale as he's just repositioning through this. Incognito really just caught up into a huge fight with Force on this angle. Going to be a lot of damage dealt out as Force is going to have to just crawl back over and forward. You can see Indigo's up towards the top, but two members of Incognito just playing this low ground, unrelenting, not letting him make his way down. The problem with this is the longer that Incognito manages to survive, if he manages to get these reses up, that's just going to stall Incognito as well, and there's OMG right on the edge of the circle that can take shots at whoever wins this.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm seeing some shots coming out from Windstrike towards Entis Force as well. You saw them taking a little bit of damage. That was actually Windstrike taking some pot shots into that smoke. Looks like Ent trying to move up towards AHQ here. Rustamar with that 249 and that long-range scope, trying to get some shots in. He's going to have to reload there. Windstrike, in the meantime, getting some knocks and kills in the background. AHQ getting kind of torn apart here. Windstrike trying to prevent Entis Force from coming down the hill.
I like the fact that Incognito realized the fact the longer they stay there for Indigo, it's just not going to pay off for them. Instead, they're just going to allow Windstrike to do all of their work. So now they have a fairly easy path. Really, they just have AHQ and a couple of members sitting over there. Windstrike now needs to go for a reposition on the other angle from this. You can see AHQ is just watching Ints right now. They know that they still need to make it forward about another 20 or 30 members. Looking at Brazilian Crusaders on the one side, but 17 just looks back over at Cloud9 and says, no, you don't get to make it inside this safe zone.
My goodness, 17 continuing to just dismantle teams. Here comes Mental, though. It looks like the OP Gaming Rangers might want to try to take advantage of that situation. We'll see SR here taking a bit of a bird bath in the pond as he looks on to
They don't
Ent.
see him. Mikas is shooting over his head on from a different angle right now, I think. You can see he's back over towards the left. Yeah, he's taking shots over at Incognito, and finally it's going to be SR coming alive. It's like, ha, we were caught in a fight for a long time. Finally, I get one of you down and get to flush it out. So, going to make his way up and forward. We can see two members of the Rangers now down as they've encountered Windstrike right on the edge of the safe zone. Dixu's down at the point now, Mental down as well. It's just Tamaria is the last person alive, and Windstrike is just flooding down that hillside.
OMG goes out in 8th place behind all of this. It's up to Tamaria here for the Rangers. Some nice shooting. Nice shooting here. Really nice stuff from Tamaria. Trying to hold on for the OP Gaming Rangers. Trying to keep their hopes alive in this tournament. Looks like he might try to go for the res here on DG.
This could be big, but look at this teammate is actually going to the other side, trying to get up Tiksu. You can see the grenades and smokes are starting to come out from Jorski. Nuki is around the side of this, trying to get a little bit of information. OP Rangers very aware of it, goes for the flush back over onto that. So now, more information denial coming into play, but look, Windstrike is just creeping forward with utility after utility. They can kind of sneak around, try to find these angles right on the edge of the smoke, seeing if they can spot out anybody off to the side of this. OP Rangers do manage to get their other member up, so with this, DG just trying to see if he can get anything out of this. Doesn't even have time to go for meds, but 17 Gaming is just getting more and more control. There we go. OP Rangers getting a down onto this, so now turn back into a 2v1 as Tamiria goes down. This is going to be very back and forth. Now make that just a 1v1 as Tiksu's holding this angle, and there we go. Windstrike actually gets eliminated. OP Rangers holding a nice angles. Now we've got Shocks just walking right up and decimating it.
Shocks continuing to shock the world here for 17 Gaming. They are absolutely tearing through teams. 8 kills already for them today. I can't believe DG98, though, getting that survival. Joxy here looking to get some shots on AXQ. He does get the knock onto K3. Looking to reposition here, seeing if he can find SR. He knows there's one member left. In fact, that is 10 kills here as they get another one onto the Crusaders.
Incognito making the push up and forward, but it's towards SR. SR has had one hell of a series. He's the guy that always manages to come up with some type of crazy play, getting the damage back over towards Ronan, and cannot do it this time around. But look, it's going to be 17 Gaming firmly aware of where they're at. Now it's just going to take more and more control over this circle at this point as Incognito has to make the push, and the last remaining member of OP Rangers on the other side.
17 Gaming looking to set up here and completely cut Incognito off from this circle. Shu trying to land some shots onto DG98. A lot of smoke there, a lot of utility for DG98 to pick up, and my goodness, Shocks.
Look at the commitment coming up from 17 Gaming. They know exactly how this is going down. They sent 3 people over. That grenade could be huge, and yep, that's going to be Ronan going down. A lot of damage coming through. Juxie's just trying to make his way forward, and 17 Gaming will just not relent. That is going to be 11 kills coming out with a round victory.
And I said they couldn't close it out. They proved me wrong. 17 Gaming takes the win here in game number 5. Absolutely dismantling this lobby today.
Shocks, 6 kills, man. This guy has been on fire. I gotta say, every single time we just jump into his perspective, he is just murdering the world.
And the crowd loves it. There are a ton of 17 Gaming fans here, and I love it too. They are absolutely putting on a show, and it is a pleasure to watch.
And let us not forget our friends from down under, Incognito, coming up. That's going to be Joseph coming up with 5 kills. Why kick a Mukau with 4 as well? Insight with 3, and Ronan following that up with 1. Big game coming out of them and your OP Rangers.
Man, DG98 is coming up so clutch for the OP Gaming Rangers. Yesterday, surviving behind that car and picking up a 2nd place and a lot of kills for them. Here, picking up a 3rd place and a couple kills. But as Tamari as well deserves a lot of credit for getting a bunch of knocks onto Windstrike. That was a very difficult fight, and they were able to pull it out.
We've got a lot of regions that are refusing to go quietly into the dark. AHQ coming up in that 4th place spot. And Brazilian Crusaders didn't get any kills, but do manage to get some points based off of 5th place position.
Hey, there you go. That's what they need. They need anything they can get. They're going to have a big round here in the last game. Ents as well might need a big game. They were 6. They did have 6 kills as well, so a decent little round for them. Windstrike in 7th place with 8 kills of their own, so there is a lot of congestion around that 8th place spot.
It is just Ents and Windstrike constantly in 6th, 7th, sneaking up in that 5th and 4th place spots here and there, but they're getting enough kills to counterbalance the point loss that not getting in those top spots. So they're just death gripping those spots, just not letting anybody move up into 6th, 7th, 8th. They want to make sure that they are in this grand final, but there is only 1 more game to go.
I know, and I'm starting to get a little bit worried about Arrowwolves T1, a team that was decently up there in the rankings going into today. They had 2 kills in that round. They didn't get any placement points. They got busted early on trying to get out of Georgia Pole. Their rotation was just too late. I'm really curious to see if they can turn it around in this last game, get some points, and really try to give themselves a chance.
So here you can see what's going on inside of the last match. Coming up at the top of it, it's going to be 17 Gaming with 21 points. Incognito right back behind that with 19. OP Rangers with 11 and Windstrike with 9.
Yeah, this is really starting to heat up here. Ents 8 points as well as AHQ. Envy with 4 points. OMG 3 points. I'm feeling like, unfortunately, that might be the end.
Well, this is a great time to talk about those points consumers we were talking about. 17 Gaming is having a huge, absolutely massive day, as well as Envy towards the start also had a big one. You can see how many points they are just denying from everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Freya is ready with our interview for the winners of game number 5 at 17 Gaming.
That is right, guys, and what a phenomenal win that was. You guys looked so dominant. How is the team feeling to have secured that win?
吃了这一季，然后咱们17这边感觉怎么样？
就杀得挺爽的就。
They feel very good to kill their enemies.
Wow. I mean, the crowd are out in full force view. We'll come onto that in a moment. But that final fight, you looked so aggressive. Have you changed up your game plan at all?
就是今天看你们打最后的时候，感觉你们打得特别的凶，特别的刚，怎么就变成特别的刚的一种状态了呢？
可能心态比较好，然后就觉得自己晋级了嘛，就放开一点。
Because they feel much more confidence about themselves, so they have a better aggressive style.
Well, you have a reason to be confident. Can you just talk me through those final moments? Was there ever a doubt in your mind that you were going to take that win?
就是针对于最后的吃鸡时刻，就是你脑海中还有什么沉淀吗？就是一种什么样的一种想法呢？当时，
其实我们还没有想到这么快就打完了，因为我们还以为有另外一队，就有点懵逼。
They didn't expect that they will have chicken dinner this quick, so they feel very surprised about this moment.
Well, you guys totally deserved it, and I've got to give it to the fans out there. They are absolutely out in full force for you. Is there anything you'd love to say to the crowd before we go back to the desk?
咱们17这边也看到了，今天现场来了很多的中国的粉丝，中国队的粉丝，你有什么要对粉丝讲的吗？
谢谢各位粉丝来伦敦看我们比赛，然后我们17在决赛会加油的。
Thanks all their fans to come to London to see their performance and to appreciate all their coming.
Well,
They
you
will
are
do
an
better.
amazing team with absolutely amazing fans. James, let's break that one down back at the desk.
17 Gaming absolutely earned their cheers today so far as they get themselves a chicken dinner off the back of already having a second place, fourth place. Really impressive day from them so far, and it couldn't have ended a better way. We're hearing them erupt every time 17 Gaming is able to get even just kills, never mind a win.
Yeah, I think it's almost like the supporters gave him the shot in the arm they needed to come alive. He seemed a little bit embarrassed, like, you know, how much they were being supportive, but man, embrace that, love it.
Yeah.
That's the best part of being live at a LAN like this, is the energy that gets brought to you by the people who are there to bring you some love. So shout out to them, man.
What is even more amazing to me is that they have accrued 70 points today. If they do 10 more points, they're going to have the best day so far, also from the group stages. So this is amazing to me. I'm so happy to see 17 Gaming pop off like this.
Yeah, very impressive stuff. And those are the points coming in from this game. Now let's take a look overall at what it was going to be seeing here when it comes to the points of the top 8 teams from the elimination stage trying to move into tomorrow.
This is so close.
Now, bear in mind, the left-hand side column is everybody that qualified through the group stage. So ignore points. The padlocks mean that they qualified through the group stage, which was less games than all of these other teams have now played. On the right-hand side, and as you mentioned, Avenger, is extremely close on the 8th place cutoff point.
So Airwolf won, and from Airwolf 1 down to OP Rangers, I would say OP Rangers are the ones that are there, obviously the most close.
Yeah.
But we still have 3 teams that potentially could be the ones dropping out. There's only 3-point difference from ENCE and up to Airwolf 1. Winstrike in the middle, just 1 point less. So this is going to be an insane game. We could see some hot drops here. We could see some contests.
Yeah.
What I'm really curious to see if the OP Gaming Rangers, they're going to be able to keep it up because they've been doing amazing so far today.
I mean, the current score record. So I say, what's your win condition, right? How far can you make a jump in one game? You base it on the best game of the tournament so far. That's 26 points. By that standard, almost anyone except maybe the bottom 4 still have a shot.
Yeah.
The thing is, they've got to come in with that mentality of, how do I have a 16-point game? I got to play out of my mind. That said, I think it's more likely to see maybe someone say, okay, I can put together 10 or 12, but that does still open it up to 4 or 5 teams who can threaten ENCE and Winstrike. These are 2 teams who we thought would have no issues. They wanted to play today. Avenger, they said, no problem qualifying. This will get us nice and warm for the final. Well, I hate to break it to you guys. Maybe that's the last time we hear about that strategy.
Let's take a look at the highlights here as we have this game under wraps. Avenger?
Maybe they're confusing warm and sweating.
They're definitely sweating right now.
Yeah, I think so. Probably going to have to be very, very careful about that. One thing that's very interesting as well is that, you know, teams like Cloud9, they don't even need to worry too much about anything going on. However, they're still performing well. You know, all these teams at the very top. 17 Game is a guarantee now.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive stuff.
I mean, but it came down to, you just don't want to be in that situation because you run into what ENCE ran into there. I mean, they had 2 crates, for crying out loud. They were wearing 2 level 3 vests, 2 level 3 helmets. They had incredible weapons, and yet the opponents who were qualified and were no longer worried about can I or can I not make it to tomorrow decided to go out of their mind to take them out. And I was very, very impressed with the fact that the leaders decided to be that aggressive. They knew it, they felt it, and hopefully we get to show that off just a little bit later in terms of how much Team 17 rose up. Shocks, by the way, has impressed me to no end. I can't wait to see what these teams do as they continue to move forward going back to China after this. I think if 17 didn't have absolute respect in the PUBG scene before, particularly their 2 lead fraggers right now, will go down in history.
All right, and that is that, of course, as they round out the game, killing off the last team. And this is brought to you, of course, by NVIDIA. And now there is going to be a lot of focus on the teams that really kind of sit on the bubble, both above and below as well here. Obviously, OP Gaming Rangers, even in that moment where they're actually taking out Winstrike, is an extremely important moment in their campaign here to try and push on forwards. And it wasn't an easy fight for OP Gaming Rangers by any means, but they made it work.
I was going to say here, they were on the eastern side. They were fighting. They were into the circle again and again and again. And them managing to take Winstrike out, again into the top 3 position here is amazing for them. That's going to probably secure them and a kind of an extra life going into this last round here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they can give a big nod to the teams that pushed up against some like Winstrike, particularly at Ents, because, I mean, Winstrike, when that circle established itself initially, I thought for sure this is their win. But what ended up happening is Ents, AHQ, and the Crusaders ended up in sort of this weird triangle of desperation, where none of them wanted to overpush each other. It was a little bit early. I think it was phase 5. And what it ended up doing is slowing all 3 of them down to a point where the rest of the teams were able to get better spots. Winstrike, by the same token, just got stuck in the middle of a field and waited too long, and they were just surrounded by superior firepower.
Triangle of desperation. That sounds like my entire life, actually. But anyway, regardless, let's take a look at the highlights here from 17 Gaming as they were able to round out an amazing chicken dinner with plenty of kills to boot. 11 of them, in fact.
Them being able to be on the northern side for this long was extremely surprising to me. Taking the priority compound and making sure that they can stay there for so long and then just sweeping in over all these teams was so impressive, especially on Ents, because they were looking to be in a power position, but 17 Gaming locked it out and clutched it up in the end.
Well, you know, we'll talk more about 17, but I got to give a shout out to Incognito. They came up with 13 kills.
Yeah.
Juxi is impressing me more and more and more. And then Waikikamukow came out with him and put up a ton of points, right? And I was just really impressed with the presence that these 2 players have brought today.
I mean, right now, they sit at 3rd place when it comes to the top 8 here from the elimination round, which is fantastic by Incognito here. To think if everything had settled now, they would end up being in, what, 11th place? And that's in the money here for Incognito. Of course, that's not how it works. They'll pretend they'll be almost guaranteed going into tomorrow, but making the grand finals is great.
Well, I'll say this. We saw this in the NPL. Midway through the season, we did sort of a fun royale where we brought the contenders teams up to play against some of the NPL teams. And some of the weaker NPL teams who were struggling in the first half of the season did really well in that tournament. And it was almost like getting the chance to sort of stretch their skills without being pressed by the big dogs the whole time, made them significantly better. They came back in the second half with a fire burning in their souls and put up huge numbers. So I think that might be what we're seeing out of Incognito. Today was a really nice boost for them.
Let's check in with the X Factor of the match, as I cannot speak English, as we take a look at what we actually have here, brought to you by HyperX. And it is going to be, what do we have?
Okay, this is what I wanted. It is Shocks and the boys wiping Ents. This is what we talked about at the beginning of the day. If you're on top and you see a threat in the middle, you keep them out of tomorrow. Look at this push. They started out all the way at priority compound. They push all the way around the top. They see Rustenmar, who runs away, and they chase. It's like they've got the scent, and they are 3 sharks in a crowd on a feeding frenzy, taking off after these guys. And 1, 2, the dominoes fall. So does Ents, and look how far away 17 ended up from their partners. That's how much they wanted to end Ents' potential run to tomorrow.
Like a tiger hunting its prey, one would say here, Mr. Avenger.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually surprised that Ents didn't push down to the southern side, because they're fighting AHQ, they're fighting some of these guys that are playing on the west, and they're playing quite passive. As you said, there's 2 kind of mindsets going into this. There's the one when you're trying to qualify for Pro League. You're maybe taking some scare steps, you're trying to lay low a little bit, and then there's the other one, the other mindset, where you're already secured in a league, you're playing, you're flexing, you're just broadening out your arms like we've seen 17 Gaming do here today. And I was actually hoping for Ents to see, okay, this is a kind of a passive team, because they move like that. They were slow in their movement. They were kind of sweeping in a little bit slow and not taking so much shots as you would expect, being 3 guys in that compound. So I expected them to kind of sweep on the western side instead of just running in onto the field.
I mean, it's that triangle of desperation idea. And honestly, anybody from 7 to 9 generally in these situations are at a disadvantage, in my opinion, because they're always worried about, I don't want to slip those 2 points, or I need to gain 3 points. The guys on the bottom have the freedom to know that, hey, I'm probably out anyway, so let's go ham. And the guys on the top say, well, we're guaranteed, so let's go ham. And these guys are all stuck, if you're 7 through 9, in the middle of a ham sandwich. You do not want to be inside of that.
No ham sandwiches. Don't be in between a ham sandwich. Don't be sat on a ham sandwich.
Be the bread, not the mustard.
But obviously, if you're not sat on a ham sandwich, what would you be rather sat on? You'd be rather sat on a Vertigear chair here, as all of our players are residing comfortably on them here for the FACEIT Global Summit. For now, of course, though, we're going to head down to Frankie and see who she's got for us before the final match.
All this talk of ham sandwiches, Kalaris, you're making me hungry, and I'm a blooming vegetarian. Now, I'm in the Windstrike pod, and I am here with Teme because they're 7th on the leaderboard at the moment. They still have a chance of making tomorrow's grand final, but it's been a tough road to get to this point. Talk me through your matches so far, Teme.
It's been kind of rough for us because it's our first international tournament. So adapting to teams coming from all over the world has been like a struggle, but we are trying to work through it. And
how are you working through it? Your coach Crimson is sat behind you. He's actually a UK lad from up north. How are you contending with this challenge?
We have, in both maps, we have teams contesting us on our loot spots. So we had to like find new places to loot and adapt our rotations.
I was interested actually in your relationship to Bluebees because on Miramar we saw you sometimes rotate away from them. You didn't want to take a fight against them.
Yeah, we don't want to fight really on the early game. Feel like it's not like necessary.
And yet we've seen that passivity kind of go away as we get towards the end of today, because on that last map on Erangel you all had 2 kills apiece. So actually, are you prepared to fight when you need to?
Yeah, of course we are. And it was nice to actually get some kills today because 3-4 maps we played, we didn't like get to do anything. So it was nice.
And what is motivating you to reach the grand final? Do you think you can take a chicken dinner in the final round of the qualifying stage?
Of course we think we can win because we already had the same situation in PL where it came down to the last map, and it's the same thing here. So
I apologize, Temi, I took the microphone away from you. Please finish that thought.
We want to show that we deserve to be here, and we want to get to the grand final and show what we got.
Well, Tami, if there's one thing I can say, you've definitely shown that you deserve to be here. Thank you so much for talking to me. Turile Tavatan, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. We're going to say that together, okay? Turile Tavatan. There we go. We're going to head to a quick break. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, it's going to be the last round, and we'll find out who our top 16 are.
So I'm here today with the Ninjas in Pyjamas PUBG team, and we're going to talk a little bit about PUBG on FACEIT. So I'm going to start off over here. What do you enjoy so much about playing PUBG on FACEIT?
I think FACEIT is the best practice you can get outside of like public games and scrims. It's just super fun, you know, to play with a mix of friends. super easy, and yeah, you just create a team and that's it. You play with your friends, frag out, you play against good opponents, so I think that's the best thing about it.
Without FACEIT, there wouldn't be too much grinding, and you wanna like grind the game that you play and like you work, because you wanna keep your like skill level up. You wanna play against good players, and that's what you can do in FACEIT, so it's really cool.
So do you think FACEIT has allowed the competitive PUBG scene to grow?
Yeah, for sure. Like new like talent comes into the scene through FACEIT and everything. Yeah, I think it's like the best thing to come to PUBG.
And if you want to become as good as the NOP boys, head over to fce.gg/PUBG to play against some of the very best players of PUBG around the world.
Party all night, feel like the song. Drinking all night long. Shake a leg with rum in a hand. Everybody feel nice, party as one.
Oh, great nade. Another one.
That's a good nade.
Beautiful nade.
Bye-bye.